The name whispered through the messy flat, an otherworldly breath so remote and spectral it might have been a serpent sliding over a decaying crypt in an age-old cemetery. A murmur so faint it became a withered echo of its origin.
Huh? What?
Anna's voice cut through the silence, her sleep disrupted. Her heart hammered against her ribs like a merciless metronome, her skin damp with chilling perspiration. Her body resisted the instinctive urge to sit upright, to face an invisible foe. Instead, an unseen clamp tightened around her jaw, forcing her teeth together until they ground against each other. A strangled cry lodged in her throat, froth and saliva seeping past gritted teeth.
Just another seizure. Fuck. Why me? But did I hear my name?
She stopped fighting or analyzing. She needed to endure this wild ride until its end. She yielded to the pain radiating from her contorted spine, spreading like a rampant blaze across her skin. Within seconds, the feverish affliction sparked at the ends of her tingling extremities and flooded her consciousness with hallucinations of celestial bodies, or perhaps a warped, shadowy cosmos. An inky abyss, speckled with twinkling constellations and spiraling starry formations, cradled a lackluster orb akin to a scuffed, jet-black marble. Suddenly, a gust of gritty power swept across the planet's crust, reverberating a tremor throughout the globe before it echoed into the silent void with an ominous vibration, a sound somehow heard in space. She either lost consciousness or was submerged in sensory overload for an indeterminate period. Reality returned to her in disjointed fragments of sight. After such ordeals, Anna knew she should get up and check herself for injuries. But right now, she couldn't. She lay there, staring at the ceiling, her mind spinning like a pinwheel. She waited for the telltale sting of fresh bruises or cuts to make themselves known. But nothing so far. The ceiling's stucco swirls contorted into enigmatic shapes, bathed in the urban glow filtering through her curtains. They mirrored the bizarre cosmos from her feverish hallucination. Had there been a voice as well? Sudden nausea washed over her, threatening to spill out any second now. That was what finally snapped her out of her stupor. With a groan, she forced herself to sit up and swing her legs over the side of the bed, ignoring the sharp spikes of pain that shot up her spine like a demonic pianist playing a discordant tune.
This never gets easier. Hydration and medication. Go.
Leaning heavily on the wall, Anna limped past a window pulsing with the strobe of passing car lights. Each burst of illumination sent another throb through her skull. She managed to stagger into the kitchenette, navigating the tight space of her studio apartment with difficulty. Her hand fumbled in the cabinets for her pill bottle, always kept within reach, while she groped for a glass with her other hand. Instead of success, she was met with the sharp clatter and crash of something falling into the sink. Damn it. That was probably one of her mugs. As a librarian living paycheck to paycheck, replacing kitchenware wasn't high on her priority list. Everything held value when you were scraping by. Careful now, she found a tumbler, filled it clumsily with water, and downed 2 Carbotrex pills before exhaustion claimed her, dragging her down onto the cool linoleum floor. She slumped against the cabinets, legs splayed before her while focusing on slow, measured breaths. Soon enough, warmth bloomed in her chest like a shot of peppermint schnapps, and the tremors in her hands stilled their frenzied dance. The medication worked fast but came at a cost. It left Anna feeling foggy and detached for most of the day, an effect she loathed about this new prescription. It led to darker thoughts too, questioning whether Dr. Marrow, whose name she often joked about, might not just be some modern-day necromancer experimenting on his unwitting patient with some mystical concoction. Still, the specters of the undead and shadowy spellcasters were nothing more than figments of her imagination, born from a few summers immersed in live-action role-playing. Alas, a mortifying seizure incident a few years ago had deterred her from attending the yearly LARPCon in San Sorrento. She no longer communicated with her old acquaintances. They'd severed ties just as swiftly. With a detached sense of realization, she acknowledged her only companions were her psychiatrist and the comforting blue pills that lulled her into oblivion. Though Anna had a deep-seated aversion to the way these meds messed with her, she couldn't deny their effectiveness. The side effects were practically non-existent. No extra pounds piling on, No bladder issues or erratic mood swings, just the occasional sensory glitch. This wasn't unfamiliar territory for Anna. She'd dabbled in everything from coke to microdosing shrooms before turning to prescription drugs. So when the shadows rolled down from the ceiling in a silky wave, coiled like a serpent ready to strike above her bed, then burst outwards like smoke billowing from an unseen fire, Anna didn't panic immediately. But as that shadow morphed into a smoky orb at the height of its arc, anxiety began nipping at her nerves. Could it be that popping 2 pills instead of the recommended one had sparked a slight drug overdose? The doc's instructions were clear: just 1 pill daily if needed. She wiped at her weary, red-rimmed eyes and took another look. That's when the ghostly skull that had formed stared back through 2 glimmering points of light that flared into golden eyes. Reality twisted violently, the floor crumpling like a discarded piece of paper. The window detonated inward, shimmering shards of glass suspended in a stunning nebula as otherworldly light blasted through the imploding walls. A detonation catapulted the bookcase through the yawning void where the window once stood. Anna's scream echoed around her, her nails scraping against the wooden cabinets as gravity seemingly went haywire. She was lost amidst this spiraling pandemonium. Gale-force winds screamed through her collapsing apartment, tiles ripped away, and cabinets disintegrated into dust. She clung to her kitchen sink, a terrified shriek tearing from her throat as she watched chunks of her home being devoured by a glimmering abyss. Then that feeble anchor was consumed by an insatiable cosmic appetite. Even sound fell victim to this black void, leaving behind a haunting silence that made Anna's ears throb with pressure. Once the whirling chaos ceased, Anna found herself marooned within the cosmic void. She stood solitary on a shard of celestial rubble, remnants of stardust crunching beneath her feet. The void swallowed every familiar comfort, replacing them with an alien terrain where darkness held dominion. Her gaze scaled the heavens, wide and swimming in a potent brew of awe and terror as it wrestled with the immense figure that loomed above. From the abyss, an entity of unfathomable scale ascended, her grandeur dwarfing even the loftiest skyscrapers to mere footnotes in her majestic presence. Her form was swathed in cosmic tapestry, galaxies trapped within her silhouette like tempests ensnared in crystalline orbs. Crowned with a pulsating golden tiara, an obsidian skull rested atop this celestial titan, its sockets ablaze with radiant starlight. The crown was no ordinary adornment. It was a menacing weave of arachnid limbs crafted from stellar minerals, their joints twitching ominously as though primed for sudden action. From beneath this spectral countenance unfurled a myriad of appendages, limbs or tentacles perhaps, their substance oscillating between the tangible and ethereal like wisps of smoke performing ballet in capricious gusts. Each languid movement sent shockwaves rippling through space-time itself, causing the stellar tapestry behind to tremble and distort. Beyond this gargantuan goddess hung an eerily familiar black planet suspended in the lifeless vacuum. Its jet-black surface greedily absorbed all light around it, creating a menacing backdrop for the goddess's spectral grandeur. Anna knew she was witnessing only a fraction of this entity's boundless might. Its full majesty could fracture her fragile human comprehension into shards. Yet she remained rooted by the awe-striking spectacle unfolding before her eyes, entranced despite fear, poised at the intersection of divine beauty and cosmic terror.
I hear you, Dark Mother. Finally, I hear you. I'll find him. I will. I will.
She repeated like a mantra amidst the swirling chaos. The Dark Mother reached out further to her unsuspecting devotee, her edicts delivered as blasphemous detonations that shook Anna's very atoms. Each word tore at fragments of her psyche until she was consumed by oblivion. Roused from sleep for a second time that night, Anna's scream broke free from her cringing body, a prolonged guttural wail that echoed through the apartment and stirred her apathetic neighbors into pounding on the walls. While casually speculating about possible homicide next door, she felt as if she had died, or at least part of her had been extinguished under the oppressive summons of that entity. Once her voice had rasped into silence, she huddled deeper into herself, a whimpering heap stained with tears. When she finally summoned enough strength and sanity to move, she rose and navigated through the deceptive cleanliness of her studio apartment to clothe herself. The entity hadn't spoken in any language known to humans. Its demands were more instinctual than verbal. Its will branded onto her consciousness through blinding jolts of pain searing into memory. Amidst the engulfing madness, 4 humanoid shapes emerged in stark relief against the insanity around them, an inexplicable connection binding them all together. And Anna accepted this uncanny reality. Wolf. Find, it had commanded. Or translated into more familiar terms, find the wolf.